So let's have a look at what I read in February. First up, we have Two of a Kind, How to Flunk Your First Date. This one was 3 stars to me. It's so weird reading these books now. I don't think I realized how short they were when I was a kid. Or maybe I did, and that's where I found my need to prioritize taking a stack of books when going on a trip so I wouldn't run out of things to read. They're cute though. Definitely a bit silly, but they are fun and they have a few laughs when you manage to sift through the ridiculousness of the overreactions of preteen girls in the 2000s. Next up, we have The Haunting, the new Natasha Preston book, of course. This one was 3 stars to me again. While I'm not a fan of an ending that doesn't actually end or tell us what happened, I do think that overall this was an okay book. I was worried for a patch that it was going to turn out to be predictable, but it definitely found ways to prove me wrong multiple times. The ending of the book felt long and dragged out, only to end inconclusively. There was a large chunk of not much happening and conversations going in a loop. As a thriller, it did keep me guessing and wondering and questioning everything, pretty much what you want in a thriller. And it kept me yelling at the main character for repeatedly making terrible decisions. Again, fairly standard in this type of thriller. If you like your books to end properly and wrap everything up, this is not the book for you, but if you're okay with ambiguous endings and are looking for an easy thriller, it's a fairly solid option. Next, we have How to Make Friends with the Dark. This was 4 stars to me. Okay, I read Girl in Pieces last year, so I knew this book would hurt, but I still don't think I was actually prepared for it. The way her mum died and the timing of it especially broke me. Thinking about their final interaction really ruined me. I mean, it was harsh. Really harsh. You can tell Tiger loved her mum, like, adored her. Of course she did, she barely knew anything else, but they were close. So it's not surprising that losing her would cause a massive shift inside her and leave her feeling lost, this being an incredibly simplified version of events. It didn't get quite as messy as I was expecting it to, but it definitely did get extremely messy. What I loved about this book was the way it shows different types of grief. It doesn't just stick to one version, but it shows us that grief can take different forms and come out in many different ways, which I think is an incredibly important thing to be aware of. Grief is something that can affect different people differently, and context can also change this. It's a very varied thing. This book was heartbreaking and devastating, but it also gave me a few laughs along the way, scattered in between the dark bits. Continuing on this track, Skullduggery, Pleasant Seasons of War. This one was 4 stars to me. So I think part of the reason Series 2 isn't as good as Series 1 is that there's less at stake. This doesn't make sense, really, because there's a lot more at stake. The difference is that the characters don't really seem to care. They're going through on autopilot. There's no depth, there's no emotional roller coaster, they're just numb to it all. And that rubs off on the readers. Series 1 would have readers on edge. There'd be plot twists, and something gut-wrenching would jump out from nowhere. But in Series 2, a lot of the time it feels a bit hollow. Sure, there's stuff to be worried about, but it's a lot harder to care when the characters themselves barely seem interested. The emotion has been taken out of them. And I get it, they're traumatized, but I don't think it comes entirely down to the trauma. You could be traumatized and still care about stuff, actually. We're often told they care what's happening, but it isn't really shown like it was in Series 1. It's not that they don't matter, more just that there's less urgency in it and significantly less emotion. Part of this may be due to how much is happening in this series. Series 1 would typically have a main plot and a few side pieces that might tie in over time, but Series 2 is constantly trying to have 3 overlapping main plots and often a few side plots all at once. It just doesn't work because there's too much happening and nothing is getting the time, detail, attention, or energy it deserves. The books are still interesting and I'm still enjoying reading them, but it definitely feels like a lot of the energy and emotion that they originally had has been stripped away, possibly in place of more plot lines, and it would be dishonest of me to say that Series 2 is comparable to Series 1. I think both are good, but in vastly different ways. Future me would like to add a note that is, up to this point, it's gonna go downhill. I am so sorry. I also want to make a comment about Never. Never is gender fluid, sometimes identifying with she, her, and dressing feminine, and sometimes identifying with he, him, and dressing masculine. And up until this point, Never's pronouns have been alternating by chapter, or by day, if we're so lucky to get multiple chapters with them on the same day. But suddenly they're alternating with every pronoun used, which is iffy. This is made more iffy when we see someone ask Never which pronouns they're using on a particular day, and they respond that their gender is evolving and currently they is preferred. The original way of alternating based on Never's feelings on the day made significantly more sense than alternating per pronoun, and if the argument is the characters haven't spoken to Never yet that day, then surely the appropriate option would be they? It's confirmed Never does use they-them on occasion, but this swapping per pronoun use still continues. Why? Next is Skullduggery Pleasant, Dead or Alive. This one was 2 stars. Remember when I said it was going to go downhill? Here we are. This has been my favourite series since 2008. And every book has been 4 or 5 stars. Until now. Sure, we still got some good parts and didn't miss out on the laughs, but this book was a mess. A mess. It's worse than my spare room. It brought time travel into the mix, and it didn't do it well. The type where they see what's happening and decide to change it, but also travel back and change their own timelines. I spent a good chunk of this book just waiting for it to be over and hoping it would somehow figure itself out in a way that made sense. But nope. In fact, if I don't start the next book soon, I'm going to end up avoiding it because I'm worried it will be just as bad or maybe somehow even worse. 2 of a Kind, The Sleepover Secret. This one was 3 stars. One problem with these books is that they feel the need to remind you who the characters are in every book. We don't need a whole paragraph telling us the same thing every single time, especially in books this short. They're less than 90 pages. They're usually between 80 and 90 pages. But they waste half a page every single book reminding us who all the characters are and hey, did you know that these 2 are twins, and one is into girly stuff, and one is into sports? Also, hey, did you know that this is their babysitter, and oh, their dad is her professor, and this is how she got the job, and also their mom is dead, and you don't need to waste an entire page telling me this every single time. The book is this short. I haven't forgotten. I did get a few good laughs out of this one, though. The banter between Kevin and Carrie is brilliant at times. 2 of a Kind, One Twin Too Many. This one was 2 stars. The main plot with Mary-Kate and Ashley in this book was ridiculous. The plot with Carrie and Kevin brought up some good points, though. I like how these books managed to mix serious stuff alongside the over-the-top silly stuff. That's it. I'm done. No more.